All right, you nerds. How we doing? I'm hearing the word on the street is that Netflix is getting smoked. Netflix is getting absolutely smokies. Um, Man, my day was very back and forth. I had a very, very back and forth day, but all that matters is what did you close at 4 o'clock? And I closed on the green, ladies and gentlemen. I closed on the green side, and that's the only thing that matters, okay? Did not close red, closed green, and uh, was a day where I had to do a lot of fighting, a lot of back and forth. I was up on the day to start with. Well, let's actually rewind a little bit more. The overnight session, I was red. Today morning, I was green, and I made up for the overnight session. And then the rest of the day, I got overconfident and I just spent the whole day giving back all of my money and going back to being full red as red as I was overnight. And uh, then couple trades came out. They ended up being banger trades. I took them and I ended up making my whole day and some back. So it ended up being a very back and forth day. Had I just not done a little bit of the dumb stuff in the middle, which always is the story, right? Can't help yourself from being stupid in the middle, either overconfident or over trading or over leverage in the later half in the day compared to the open. Always ends up causing you to lose money. So gotta fix those things. Besides that, I'm happy that we're keeping the green streak alive. Let's see how many green days in a row am I at right now. 1, 2, 3, 4 green days in a row. So we're keeping the green streak alive. However, surprising. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say the numbers are like lowering. The green day numbers are lowering, but not necessarily because they're actually going up and down. They're fluctuating, but they're all green. So overall, I'm happy with the day. Could have been better, and that's what we're going to talk about. Going to show you guys my trades on the day. How could we have done better on the certain trades? How could we have avoided some trades? And also the earnings today after hours. So strap your seatbelts on and let's head over to the full screen over here. See what is happening in store today. What's in store for today's stream? So obviously Netflix reporting after hours. Interactive Brokers also reporting after hours today along with United Airlines. But I think that's basically where the watch list kind of ends for me in terms of the stocks that I care about reporting after hours today. So we'll put in these 3 stocks, IBKR, couple stocks from, I guess, pre-market, DHI, 3M took a beating today. I'm not sure where 3M ended up going to, but those are the only few names that I realistically care about. I'm going to ignore the bank names. And then tomorrow, pre-market, we got J&J, ALLY, HAL, Halliburton, Charles Schwab. That's a good one to keep an eye out for. Travelers, Trust, TFC, nothing else that stands out for me. So these are the earnings names that we are going to go through for tonight. Besides the earnings names, I mean, obviously the market's been moving quite a bit. So QQQ taking the beating, S&P 500, we'll take a look at that. And why not take a look at Dow Jones and IWM while we're at it. If we're looking at the overall market, I think it's a very good time to take a look at actual large caps, the Mag 7, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, Tesla. So the Magnificent 7. Always a good time to take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is moving around quite a bit. So BTC USD, IBIT, Coinbase, MSTR, a couple other Bitcoin related stocks such as Figure. I think Figure is Bitcoin related. FIGR, CRCL, BLSH, Bullish. So a couple stocks over there to add to our watch list. I think we'll continue to look at the semiconductor / memory names: Micron, SNDK, Western Digital, Seagate Technologies. I see quantum sector was moving quite a bit today. On the daily chart, quantum could really start setting up for a breakout. So IonQ, RGTI, QUBT, QBTS. A couple stocks that got absolutely destroyed today. AV got smoked. Roblox got destroyed. A couple stocks that I traded that moved around quite a bit. SEGG, CRVS, IVX, IRBX. Can't remember any other ones that possibly came into play. So anyways, we have a pretty big extensive watch list over here for tomorrow. And I'm excited to go through it with you guys. If you guys have any other specific names you want me to take a look at, throw in the watch list. I'm okay, but you don't sound good. I guess a cold, but you do vape. I mean, I haven't vaped in a very long time, I'll be honest, but I did. Never mind. Netflix is muerte. Well, I guess you put in the coffin emoji, or was a tombstone emoji. So Netflix is muerte. Netflix is dead. You hear me? Dead. Yes, Grandpa. I hear you. Netflix is dead. Thank you for ruining the surprise for me because we were going to. Does this button still work? Let's see. It does. We were going to pull up a nice little uh earnings report and read together. So why don't we do that right now? Starting with NFLX, pull up the Benzinga earnings report over here. What is going on with this report? So clearly down 5% at the moment. Netflix fourth quarter revenue 12.05 billion, up 17.6% from same period last year. That looks good. Total revenue beat street consensus estimates by 11.97. So they beat the consensus estimates also. Netflix reported 56 cents in earnings per share in the fourth quarter, beating street estimates of 55 cents per share. Not sure what that is year to year growth, however. Company said higher pricing, membership growth, and increased advertising revenue led to higher revenue for the quarter. Now, while Netflix no longer breaks out its subscriber figures quarterly, the company said it passed the 325 million paid subscriber milestone during the fourth quarter. The company's revenue by regional segment is as follows. So United States and Canada up 18% year over year. European is up 18%, Latin America up 15%, and Asia Pacific is up 17%. Overall, I'm seeing growth across the board. So why exactly did the market not like what they saw from Netflix? Let's continue reading. Maybe we'll see what the secret sauce is. Netflix had a revenue of 45.2 billion for the full fiscal year, up 16% year over year. The company said it met or exceeded all fiscal year objectives. Looks good to me. Company said it's focused on several items for 2026, including improving our core business, building out newer initiatives like live, expanding into more content categories like video podcasts, sustaining healthy growth. With over 325 million paid subscribers, memberships, we are now serving an audience approaching 1 billion people globally. Our aim is to delight and satisfy all of them by providing an amazing variety of series, films, and games, the company said. Highlighted 2026 lineup, which includes a return to several fan favorites like Bridgerton, One Piece, along with some new scripted series and movies. Warner Brothers Discovery acquisition update. Plans to acquire the media company Tuesday, amends that terms deal, all cash transaction valuing up to $27.75 per share. Company said revised offer should expedite the timeline and provide greater value to shareholders. We believe our proposed purchase of Warner Bros. Will allow us to accelerate our business strategy. Okay, so it looks like they're still interested in looking to buy. Is guiding 12.16. What did they report? 12.05. So they're guiding 12.16 for the next quarter, with the estimates of 12.19. So I guess that is a little bit off, right? They are guiding lower than the estimates for the next quarter. That's possibly one of the reasons why the market is flushing Netflix at the moment. The company sees first quarter earnings per share of 76 cents, below the consensus estimates of 81 cents. So there's another reason. So both double guidance miss, even though they did come out with growth across the board and they beat their previous quarter estimates and so on. So market only cares about what the future is entailing, and looks like Netflix is giving you a little bit of a cautious update. For the fiscal year 2026, Netflix is guiding 50.7 billion to 51.70 billion. The company, I would like to see what an estimate is. Sadly, no estimate over there. The company said it expects higher membership prices and doubling of advertising revenue from 2026 to 2025 to contribute to higher revenue for the whole fiscal 2026. So I think that's kind of like a hidden positive over there, if I'm not reading that wrong. Overall, I'm just seeing good things, besides the fact that they missed out on the guidance part. So Netflix taking a beating over here, pushing to the downside pretty drastically, and probably breaking previous supports. Let me get rid of my old drawings over here and pull up Netflix on the weekly chart. Here's Netflix on the weekly. This is the 200 weekly simple moving average, and looks like we're still quite a bit of a distance away from that. That's good. But clearly Netflix is below, much below the 200-day moving average, and good things don't happen below the 200-day moving average. For example, QQQ is right now below the 50-day moving average. All of a sudden, we were completely fine all last week, but all of a sudden today, thanks to Trump, I guess, market really got scared and shook and broke below the 50-day moving average. Now we'll see if we're gonna make a move all the way back into the 200-day or something. And if that's the case, Netflix could really continue to have some bearish pressure put over it with this earnings report. So watching to see how pops react. I should have yeah, this one. I should have a chart with earnings anchored VWAP placed in. Where is it? Come here. Heck. This should be earnings. Style. Puts. Why isn't this not? Yeah. I don't see the one for today. Maybe they haven't placed it yet today, but that one, I guess that is the previous earnings anchored VWAP, and the one for today hasn't shown up yet for some reason. But if I put it in myself, yeah, 83.75. I was expecting it to be a little bit higher, but looks like we pushed it right into that level. Netflix tried to push back into the earnings anchored VWAP around $84 or so. Did not manage to get above 84, and right now just battling between 82.50 and 84. Will be interesting to see how this one plays out. I mean, tomorrow a nice little pop and reject somewhere in this area. If the stock is finding selling after popping, after we get a pop, let's say back through 84, 85, but the stock is not able to reclaim 84 and then flushes back through to 84, that's your short right there, risking the high a day. Same thing with 85, somewhere around 85, 86. I think as long as stock pulls back and shows your rejection, it's still a viable opportunity. However, the fact that it would at that point be above the earnings anchored VWAP, that would be a little negative, but I will still be watching it for a pop rejection. But if it starts to reclaim, clearly $87 or higher, it's just no longer a short anymore. You got to be very careful. It's trying to short this position. Buyers might come in and just be like, okay, that report wasn't that bad. At least I think the report wasn't that bad. But I'm not a swing trader. I'm not an investor. All I care is how the market and investors and people with, for example, hedge funds, how are they going to react to this report? Right now, you're going to have a bunch of interns scrambling and reading the report and creating a PowerPoint presentation for their managers. Tomorrow morning, they're going to present it to their managers why they think Netflix is a buy or why they think Netflix is a sell. And then their managers are going to be like, all right, go out there and buy Netflix, or all right, go out there and sell Netflix. So I'm looking for that volume coming into play tomorrow, studying that action, see how that action reacts to this overall after hours action and the overall pre-market action, and see if there's a trade. Right now, they are looking to, at least looks like it wants to break the low over here and continue pushing to the downside. Netflix, yikes, for sure, 100% on the priority list. And the fact that Netflix is no longer like a $1,000 name now because it's post split just makes it even a lot more fun. Look at that, 100 million shares traded today on the day today. And I think tomorrow we're going to see equally same amount of shares being traded. So keep an eye out for this one high priority name. We'll circle back to Netflix to put some levels on the watch list. Let's quickly head over to UAL. Looks like UAL actually made a little bit of a pop to the north side, but still not as relevant for a day trade until I think it gets above this little high of 119 or so, 119.21. Would that be all-time high? That would be all-time high. So I think for now I'm just going to have to not really care too much about the stock. It is reclaiming today's high. You can see how the after hour move here, it's reclaiming today's high and it's trying to push back to the north side with the earnings report. But I would be a lot more interested if UAL pushes into um, all-time high area and either rejects all-time high, um, or breaks out of all-time high and continues to the north side. So keeping an eye on UAL for either one of those two opportunities. Interactive Brokers, a name that's previously showing you some very, very strong bullish momentum to the upside on earnings report. But right now, what happened here? Right now looks like not the best result over here, pushing to the downside first but then popping right back up. We could dive deeper into these reports, but again, we're stuck in last week's ranges, we're stuck in today's ranges. These things are not the best type of day trade names in my opinion. If we do start getting below 69 or we start getting below 75 to the upside, then things can get a little interesting for IBKR. So I'm just going to leave it as a blue marker, not as highly interested. Looks like Netflix is going to end up taking all of our interest tomorrow for the day trade, maybe even some of the large cap names because they are giving you some very good trades at the moment. Tesla, for example, which I pulled off today, a very good short on Tesla. I actually traded on TSLL, but still, same thing, Tesla TSLL. I want to take a quick glance at DHI, see if there's a possible trade here. Not sure if I want to really keep an eye out for DHI tomorrow. I'm going to move past that. 3M flushing all the way into the 200-day moving average over here. That's a big flush on 3M, which was on a pretty good recovery so far, right? Pretty good recovery from the $80 into 160s, 170s, but now pull back into the 200-day. It will be a big question as to how 3M reacts tomorrow to a downwards pressure. If we go back into today's low, are we bouncing off of today's low or are we breaking below today's low? So, or is there a big day two opportunity, or is the day two basically the ride from today's VWAP, which would be the earnings VWAP, into today's low? So a couple ideas that are possible execute on. Possibly possible to execute. Couple ideas there to look out to execute on 3M tomorrow. So either a push into lower day, into today's lower day, and then a break below today's lower day, giving you continued weakness to the downside, or a reclaim of today's lower day, showing you a failed break and then a long back through that. And then you have another one where the stock pulls up to the earnings anchored VWAP or today's anchored VWAP, rejects around that point, and then gives you a move into today's low, and then a bigger continuation past today's low would be much, much better to keep an eye out for. So I'm watching 3M. I think today's VWAP was what? Earnings VWAP, today's VWAP 156.32, basically where it closed at. So I'm just going to put 156 to 157. If scenario 1, reject from earnings VWAP into yesterday's low. Scenario 2, reject from yesterday's low, bounce up into earnings VWAP. Scenario 3, each time I spell scenario I spelled it wrong. You guys love it, right? Scenario 3, break below yesterday's low and continuation short. So those are the three ideas I'm watching over here on a 3M. What is today's low? Today's low is 153. So basically showing you that weakness continuing. Oh my god. Weakness continuing below 200-day moving average, which is 154, 153, which is today's low. We'll show you probably more darkness on this move over here. So we'll keep an eye out for some of the moves over there. But ideally, 200-day moving average, we'll see some buying coming into play, and it should be hard to look for a short here. But if you're seeing heavy selling coming in below 153, that's an easy short. That's going to be probably the easiest short tomorrow if the market's weak too. So keeping an eye out for 3M for sure. Here are some stocks reporting pre-market. J&J. Let's see where J&J is. All-time high. Okay, love to see it. Possibly a breakout at all-time high, and then a run keep on going higher for us to be interested. I'll put that stock as a high priority already. J&J as a high priority, purple marker. Would love to see an all-time high breakout. Where is it? 220.11. So yeah, let's see that breakout and keep on running, baby. ALLY, $42 stock, 5 million shares, currently at the 50-day moving average or slightly below it, reporting earnings tomorrow. I don't think I've actually traded this name ever before, but we'll keep an eye out for it. HAL, Halliburton, where is that one? HAL, also near 52-week high or so, I think. Where is it? 1 day. Go to 1 day. Year to date. Yeah, so basically near 52-week, or no, that's 1 year. Go to year. Yeah, pretty much near 52-week high here at $33.72, and we'll see if the earnings report takes us a little bit higher than the current range that the stock is stuck in. This is an oil name, however, so with how Trump is dealing with the current geopolitical situations, war, oil, defense names, all of those are in play. So you want to be careful with how any one statement, either talking about Iran or Venezuela or something will not come in and hurt your trade. So you got to be very tuned into the news cycles. You can clearly you can see me using Benzinga. So if you're interested, there's a link for that in the description below. You can get like 10% off, I believe, and check out that awesome tool for the squawk. They got an awesome squawk tool that I just cannot live without. That's how I caught some of these awesome moves today. Let me show you one of my trades. Some of the awesome moves that could have been better. Could have been much better. We'll take a look at some of my trades on the day. Only winners. We're only showing winners, no losers. Actually, no, that's a lie. We did show one loser. CRVS. SMB Capital. Saw that SMB Capital's watch list they posted. CRVS was some sort of a phase 1 trial name. Had a decent short float, about a 20% short flow. Usually, I like to, I have a couple setups that I'd like to attack when it comes to these type of names, and I noticed that this stock fit those scenarios perfectly. So I saw a spot where it pulled into VWAP, it bounced right off of VWAP, and then it found buying again right back into this $14 area. So I figured, okay, if the stock is finding buying after that selling into VWAP, an immediate bounce, buying back at 14, if it pushes into 15 and breaks 15, that's going to be a lot of stops getting stopped out. Take the 15 breakout and look for a little bit of an explosive move into the north side, and that's exactly what you got out of it. But sadly, I closed my trade very quickly and I said, haha, thank you, I'm the best trader there is, and I stopped looking at this name, and what a horrible decision that could have been, because the stock continued to keep going higher, never really, I guess, closed below some of my moving averages that I like to use. So let's take a look at this. How could we have traded better? So yeah, CRVS, at this point, it gets below the previous 5-minute low, and I end up closing my trade after a quick run to the north side. I guess, no, that wasn't the original trade. I think I was somewhere here. Yeah, 14. Where's the dip into VWAP? I think this is the dip into VWAP, right? Dip. Surprisingly, this VWAP is much higher, or much lower, I mean. Anyways, dips into VWAP, buy into 14, take the 15 breakout and then enjoy the run to the north side and then get stopped out. But look how, if you just trailed it to the moving averages properly, it never really got below the 21 EMA on the 5 minutes. So couple ideas to even re-enter. You got a couple opportunities to re-enter at $17 and then into the close at $20. The stock was just going absolutely crazy, up what, 173%, 200% almost on the day, and I only captured what, like 10%. So what a clown. I can't even trade properly. But hey, this helped to make some money on the day, so I can't complain. My second best trade, I guess, actually no, that was my second best trade on the day. My first best trade on the day, TSLL, taking the short on Tesla on the lower day breakdown, and really piling into this one. I guess you could say I was revenge trading a bit. I just needed to make the money back, and thankfully the market was flushing. All the variables were there. Tesla was struggling. Tesla was pushing into $420. It looked like it was a magnet at this point, so got short. Rode the move into 420, and then 420 breaking and taking Tesla much lower allowed me to basically hold the position better. I think I trailed this position really well, in my opinion. There were a couple spots where I could have trailed this position slightly better, but I think at the end of the day, I still took out position or size in a way where I was able to ride most of the move, most of the meat of the move. So I can't complain too much about that, right? It's a nice little short opportunity on Tesla there into the close today. IonQ, what a monster move on IonQ. Tried to short it, but sadly I was a little too early, and being early is wrong. However, what I always do is stop looking at a stock, and that was probably a mistake there, because later on it gave you another opportunity somewhere in this area, lower high, an opportunity to short the lower high, risk the all-time, not the all-time high, the intraday high, and ride it back into VWAP. Couple backside opportunities were there, but I just said nope, I'm moving on from it. And here's a quick little hit and run. SEGG, this stock was going crazy. I noticed it around $2.40. That something crazy was going on around this area. Volume was coming in. I took the 240 breakout after the stock opened from a halt. I think it halted at $2.40. It opened from a halt. It went lower, then it went back through 240, and it blasted through 240. So I got long at 240, quickly took some profits, bid back down again, and then got some more shares, and then basically rode it to as high as I could until the stock started crashing back down. And then this is where it basically topped out. Halted on the way down, and then I got out right before it halted down. Then some sideways chop, and then a little bit more downside halt, upside halt, and a little bit back and forth action after the middle of the day action. So a couple of 4 charts over there from today. I had a little bit more losers on the day today, but 4 charts from me today over there for us to dissect. Obviously could have done better, a lot better today, but I'm not going to complain. I'm just happy that we were able to make a buck or two. Thank you, Base God. Thank you, Base Guy, for helping us to make a buck or two and keep the green streak alive. That's all it takes sometimes, guys, right? Just keep the green streak alive. Just keep going one day at a time, Let that compound, and then, you can start risking a little bit more on each green day, and then let it compound. And then once you start going on maybe like a losing streak, if you start going on a 2-day losing streak, 3-day losing streak, then size down drastically, right? Quickly size down drastically, and then just look to have a book day. Look to book a green day, right? Just get one green day on the board, then another green day on the board, then another green day on the board, then start sizing up and start getting another green day on the board. That's all you gotta do. One step at a time, and then baby steps all the way out until you get back up to the top, all right? Let's quickly go take a look at the watch list and see what I want to talk about. That's right, I wanted to talk about the overall market and where we are possibly on the overall market at the moment. I marked out a couple lows. This is the January 2nd, 2026 low. So basically the first day of the year low. And this is the December 17th low. I think that's the FOMC low, maybe. Was December 17th FOMC? I'm kind of drawing a blank here right now. Or maybe this was the FOMC, the 10th of December, because I do have a white anchored VWAP setup from there. So 10th of December might be FOMC. We do, however, have FOMC coming up on the 28th of January, which we're expecting to not get a rate cut. So keep that in mind. Anyways, coming back to the market here, good things don't happen below 50-day moving average. You want to be very careful. A couple of the banking sectors have shown some weakness, and now semiconductor sectors, AI sectors are also showing some weakness. And if QQQ starts to push back down, you want to be very careful for your swing accounts, for your long accounts. Right now, maybe pull back to 200-day moving average doesn't sound too bad either, because look at the crazy run up we've had on the market so far. So pull back to 200-day, show some sideways, and then bounce right back off of it. But you know, market potentially could bounce right off before that anyways. Go to 600 and bounce for all we know. The 200-day is still on a pretty good incline to the upside, which is indicating that the momentum is still to the north side. When usually, here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Usually when the market starts to go down, you'll see the 200-day starts to curl back down or even flatten out before curling back down. And we're not seeing that just yet. We're still seeing an inclined 200-day moving average. So potentially still in a bullish trend. But this current market cycle, this current earnings cycle, I want to say, is very, very dependent. And also the current Trump news cycle is also very much of a question mark. Now we also have the Japan Japan news coming out that they're going to try and run an election again. That's going to cause a little bit of a damage to the yen trade. The carryover trade might come into play again. So there's a lot of things going on right now for the first month of the year, and things are getting a little crazy. So obviously be patient if you're looking for dip buy longs and swing longs. But you know, be ready to deploy money once the setups and once the opportunities are presented to you. QQQ below the 50-day moving average, looking to see how the $600 area ends up playing out, which is around $8 lower than today's low. So keeping an eye out for that bad boy. I think $8 lower than today's low. S&P 500 also below the 50-day moving average, just pushing into the 50-day moving average today and then flushing below it. And looks like we are below the January low on the S&P 500, but not below the December 17th low. So that could also come into play. We'll see if it pushes into it, which is $671 over here on S&P 500. IWM still should be around all-time high. Dow Jones should be still around all-time high, which is what keeps my hopes high to the north side. You know, we're looking to see how some of these quantum names, some of these IWM names like RGTI, IonQ, all of these come into play. Potentially some breakout longs on these names if you were to draw, you know, a moving average line or a trend line, I mean, sorry. If you were to draw a trend line of some sort, you can see how some of these names can give you a potential opportunity. Very similar to how that they set up over here, where they rip to the north side, pull back, hold around the 200-day moving average, and then they go higher, pull back, trade sideways around the 200-day, and then they break out and they start going higher. So looking forward to see, this is cycle 1, cycle 2, if we start seeing some cycle 3s on these names. So keeping an eye on the quantum names for sure. I think IonQ and RGTI looks a lot better. Let's take a look at QUBT, QBTS. Yeah, these don't really look as good. QBTS looks a little bit better than QUBT. But RGTI, in my opinion, looks the best, and then IonQ obviously looks the second best over there. So make sure you put these on your watch list. Drone sector, ACHR, still on my watch, but AVAV taking a little bit of a beating today. Big down move on AVAV here. getting sold off. I guess it did have a big run up. It had a big run up, so a little bit of a profit taking today potentially. Some of the other drone names are still holding up. RCAT holding up. UMAC holding up. UMAC actually looks like it wants to break out and continue going here. So keeping an eye on the drone sector still. And SNDK, man, can't stop, won't stop. I'm telling you, potentially going to $1,000, but you got to keep an eye on the stock every day for that eventual short setup that everyone's looking for, right? The first red day short setup, because whenever that comes into play, we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Looks like the stock has still yet to go crazy before we look for it. So yeah, keep going SNDK, keep doing your thing. If you're in the long at the moment, guys, just keep trailing previous day's lows. Or even the 9-day moving average. You don't have to complain at the moment at all. You're absolutely loving the ride to the north side. So just keep trailing moving averages. You never know when the train ends. So just enjoy the ride as long as it's there, okay? STX and WDC potentially a breakout opportunity. If SNDK wants to carry these two to the high side, 336.17 on STX. And WDC, I think it was like 270 something, 230, which was the last 3 days high, 230. I'm just going to put 50, 230, 50 on STX. So keeping an eye on these two bad boys. Micron had a pretty big move up today, but then pretty much gave up all of that move. I guess the market weakness did put some pressure on Micron, but still overall closing above yesterday's, or I should say Friday's close, which makes it pretty bullish, man. That's fairly bullish. Okay, that's today's VWAP. That's Friday's VWAP, and this is Friday's close. We bounced off of Friday's close and we closed above Friday's close. That's still fairly bullish. So I think Micron's not done just yet. Micron could easily continue to keep going higher. Pratt, haven't been here in a year. I have nothing to contribute except I got caught up in the graphene hype. Wow, I don't even know what that means. The graphene hype, I think, is there any graphene stock I can take a look at to understand this? Or are you just talking about the graphene hype in general? Because I've seen some like YouTube videos back in the day about the whole graphene thing. That was a little intriguing, but I never really pushed too much into it. Pushed too much into that one. Nope, nope, nope. IonQ, RGTI. I want to take a look at AVAV for tomorrow, so we'll put that one on the thing. RBLX apparently got sold off. Yeah, look at that. Absolutely got schmacked to the downside. Schmeckeldoos destroyed over there. Not really a name that I care about tomorrow anyways. SEGG, a lot of back and forth action today. Got destroyed quite a bit over there. CRVS, for sure a name that I'll be watching tomorrow, especially with how it traded today. That's a name with high priority. IVX, did you also close on the higher end? What was the stock that I traded? I can't even remember. It wasn't IVX? Okay. IRBX. Was it IBRX? It was IBRX. Looks like you pulled back, but still holding up fairly well. So these are the two names that I'll be keeping an eye out for to see if there is some continuation. This is like multiple days now, volume increasing multiple days in a row, and if this stock gets below $6 tomorrow, that could really blow things up, and this could push down right back into like $2-3 very quickly. So I'm keeping an eye on IRBX. Potential $6 support, and then if that $6 support breaks, we are all systems go, ready to party on this name. So keeping an eye on this name. Let me put an alert right over there also. CRVS, with how crazy this move was today, today's VWAP, today's halfway point right from $17.39. That's today's halfway marker. Today's VWAP is apparently at $19 almost. Let's take a look at it. No, it's at $16. So $16 to $17. This whole pocket, I want to see how the stock behaves on the pullback. $16 to $17 pocket. If it can hold on the dip, I'm very much interested to see if we can join for another ride to the upside, potentially back into today's high, or maybe tomorrow. You know, you see the stock actually stall out a little bit, and then the next few days it starts to blast off. Positive phase one news, high short flow. We've seen these stocks before go crazy, so very much interested to see what type of opportunities that name gives us. Quickly, let me go through some Bitcoin names. Billish, not really doing anything. Circle breaking back down over here. No, looks like a little bit of a weakness in Circle. FIGR still can't stop, won't stop. Ooh, first sign of weakness in FIGR here. Pushed up to $78, but pulled right back. Looks like some possible signs of weakness. If this stock could now get below $70 tomorrow, possibly some shorts for us to be interested in. FIGR, keeping an eye out for 70. MSTR, I put MSRT. MSTR is also pulling back at the moment, obviously, because Bitcoin is showing some signs of weakness. So keeping an eye on MSTR. If MSTR starts to get back below 149.75, woo woo, ring the alarms, okay, ladies and gentlemen, ring the alarms. Coinbase took a beating today because of Bitcoin. Here goes Coinbase. That'll be interesting if Bitcoin has another weak day tomorrow, or any day of the week, and then Coinbase starts to push below 225.50. That could be a fun stock to trade on the day trade side. To keep an eye out for this. There's also leverage ETFs on this stock, CONL. So if you're interested to put that in your watch list, go ahead and do that. IBIT, which is always a good substitute for Bitcoin. You can trade IBIT directly as you're watching Bitcoin move around. That's a good trade, always to pull off for anyone with quick fingers. Moving to the large cap sector, Magnificent Seven. Now, obviously, because the market's moving around, that means some of these stocks are going to be moving around. So here goes Tesla, breaking below a very significant level, $420. You know, previously, because Elon has always made jokes about this price, like 420, funding secured. So 420 also happened to be a little bit of a support area on the if you zoom back a little bit over here, you can see how it was support in October and December, and so on. So breaking that is pretty important. Now it'll be important as to how the stock reacts on a pullback into 420. Do we continue to show weakness tomorrow on pullbacks to 420? The most recent swing low, ignoring today's low, happens to be around 424, 425. So that's also something to keep an eye out for. 424 to 425 area, potential bounces and rejects from that area for us to look short also. And then if Tesla breaks below today's low, 417.50, 417.50, that could really start putting some weakness on the overall market, and really give us some great shorts to participate with. Similar ideas over here on Nvidia. Today's low was like what, 177.60. So watching Nvidia for, again, some possible short opportunities. Where is Google? I haven't looked at Google all day today. Nice pullback on Google, possibly the cleanest short on the day. Let's take a look at it. Not necessarily. I mean, it broke out higher first and then it kept pulling back. Not necessarily the cleanest short on the day. I don't really like to trade Microsoft or Meta as a day trade. Too nonsense of a stock, but they are pulling back, and you are going to see the death cross on Microsoft. Now, you never want to hear that, but you're going to see the death cross on Microsoft, and you're already seeing the death cross on Meta. Amazon had a pretty a rough day also, pulling back over here, and I quickly want to take a look at Apple. Wow. Apple had a very rough day, chat. Apple getting smoked over here, pushing to the downside at the moment, sadly. We'll see if Apple gives us a little bit of a dip buy opportunity at the 200-day moving average. I can possibly delete all my drawings, and yeah, that's very interesting. Keeping an eye on Apple. Today's VWAP happens to be at 249, 250. So if Apple struggles to reclaim 249, 250, that becomes very important. That becomes a good short opportunity tomorrow. Granted, the market's weak also. If QQQ, S&P 500 are weak, and Apple struggling to reclaim 249, 250, that could be a monster short right back into today's short, into today's low, and then a continuation past today's low, depending on how weak the market really is. Okay, so those are some good opportunities today. I hope I pointed out for you. Come on, can I fix this spelling? It won't let me fix that spelling. Whatever. Those are some opportunities that I quickly spotted for you guys tomorrow. I think there'll be some random small cap names that will be popping up on the scanners too. So for sure I'll be distracted by that. Let's take a quick glance over at Netflix over here. Looks like Netflix is still struggling to reclaim the $84 high at the moment. I'm just gonna go ahead and put down the 84, and looks like 82.55 is still holding at the moment. And then tomorrow pre-market might have to revamp the levels a little bit depending on how the stock is holding up around these areas. This is what I'm expecting. We open up a little bit higher. We pull back into the after hour low. We break the after hour low a little bit, and then we reclaim the after hour low, and then we start pushing up north for the rest of the day. I've seen this setup a lot happen on earnings reports like Netflix, so keeping an eye out for something like that I think is a pretty good opportunity around 82.50, $82 if they do manage to reclaim this after hour low. Granted that 8 o'clock is the stock doesn't make a new low before 8 o'clock. But those are basically the opportunities that I have in store for today. Really quickly before we call it a night, I want to push over to IPO calendar, because there is a big IPO, looks like on Friday of this month, this week, even though this week was a short week. MLK Monday. MLK Monday. So Friday short week over here. We're looking at a pretty decent IPO. Looks like a $894 million IPO, $23 to $25 range. I'll be diving deeper into it on Thursday, so make sure you turn into the Thursday after hour stream over here at 4:30 to know exactly what this company is all about, and then hopefully it'll be a very good trade on Friday. IPO sector at the moment has a very good hype. People are hyped up about the IPO sector at the moment. So hopefully this doesn't ruin the hype for the IPO sector by being a horrible trade. Let's take a look at the economic calendar very quickly. Why is it showing me every single country? I never asked for this. Clear all. Only show me USA. USA. United States, only medium to high. Okay, so today, let's go to this week instead. So this week, tomorrow we have two star events, nothing really. Trump speaks at 8:30 a.m. That's interesting. Hopefully not for too long, but Trump speaks at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that. 20-year bond auction at 1 o'clock. That's going to be a little bit of a possible market mover, so keep an eye out for that one. Atlanta GDP number at 12 o'clock. Sometimes these numbers move the market, sometimes they don't, so keep an eye out for those. And then home numbers, so potentially Home Depot, LEN, TOL moving off of these numbers at 10 o'clock. So tomorrow a little bit tamed, but except for Trump speaking at 8:30, so maybe not as tamed. On 22nd of January, we got core PCE, 10-year tips, so that's going to be a pretty good one at the 8:30, at 10 o'clock, and so on. Friday, IPO day. We also got services PMI that day, so pretty active pretty active econ calendar for day traders. So make sure that you are in tune as to at what times and what events are happening at what time, so that way you don't get caught offside if the market suddenly starts to move drastically at these times. Okay, so tomorrow 8:30 Trump talks, be careful of that one. Quickly, if I'm forgetting anything, oh yeah, head over to my link tree. Get yourself some nice discounts on all of the software that I use to day trade every single day. Finviz, Traders Insight, TraderSync, Benzinga Pro, Flash Research. You get discount by clicking the links or using code PRAD15 if it says PRAD15 in the description. So make sure you do that. Get yourself discounts, especially Benzinga. I'm telling you, I don't know how people day trade without Benzinga on a day-to-day basis. It's just impossible. And last but not least, I need to go check if Jake Paul was mentioned on the Netflix earnings call, because you guys know how I do this earnings bingo. I want to see if Jake Paul was mentioned on earnings, and looks like the way it's traded, it has been said, but I also want to go confirm it really quick. Earnings, no, let's go to Perplexity. I want to go confirm it really quickly. See what everyone else in the chat is saying. Pratt, have you tried to trade only 2 stocks? Example, SPY and QQ. Sometimes too many stocks get me confused in the past. No, because QQQ and SPY are not really a stock. They're an ETF. They're a box of stocks, and they move very differently compared to a stock that's in play and has a reason to move around. That's why I don't trade QQQ and SPY. I much rather go trade, individual stocks. It's just much easier for me. QQQ and S&P 500 is very efficient. They're very efficient. But individual stocks, they're not that efficient. And there's a lot of people who I call dumb money that you can take advantage on, thankfully. Okay. Oh baby, Eddie in the chat. Eddie saying, "Let's go." Jake Paul was said on the Netflix conference call. Was it actually? That's what I was actually going to check here. Bang, baby! So today's conference call, Jake Paul was actually said, and we were talking about this on the STN chat last week. We were talking about it to Michael Freehan. We were talking about it to everyone else in the STN chat today. And look at that. Exactly only once and once only was it said. And that's all it took for me to make money on that position, baby. Bang. We are mounting a comeback right now, ladies and gentlemen. What? Why am I down $1? I'm not down $1 today. That's bullshit. But we are mounting a comeback. We have been down for quite some time, but we are mounting a comeback over here, one step at a time. Putting one step forward and then one step forward right after that. Time to get some goop, baby. Exactly. I'm happy that worked out. I think we're gonna have more opportunities. J&J tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. You know what? Why don't we do some quick little research about J&J and see if we can find some opportunities to position ourselves in chat and make some more shmoney, as they call it. Shmoney, is that what they call it? The kids call it shmoney these days. I'm what they call an unk now. Netflix, Kill Tony. I enjoyed that Netflix Kill Tony. I'll be honest, I enjoyed that Netflix Kill Tony quite a bit. Let me see, what else were you guys saying in the chat? Trouble in the company. Their buying isn't worth anything until people know I'm canceling. I know saying I'm canceling, I'm bullish. People love Netflix. Also, granddaughter said her and her friends started playing video games on Netflix. I found that interesting. Yeah, I know people who play Netflix, but I don't. Scalper Pratt, yes sir. Halliburton uses mercenaries. I saw it with Landman. What the hell? Chill out, bro. You're trying to get assassinated yourself. Silver was up today. Yeah, Highcroft Mining Corp. Silver. They were having a pretty good day. HYMC. Here's HYMC at $43 today. Oh my god, I saw it at 39. So HYMC had a pretty good day. Jesus. NUAI also had a nice little breakout over here. Potentially looking to join NUAI in this area. If it can start holding above 570 like it is right now in the after hours. If NUAI can start holding above 570, I'm interested in that name also. Let me actually put that one. Even though I'm not trading the silver, 570 over here on this one, and then HYMC, I mean, wow, what a move. Shout out to HYMC. Basically 40 bucks at this point, I would say, is the inflection. If HYMC stays above 40, look for that continuation north side. Pretty simple over there, right? Pretty simple. All right, coming back to Johnson and Johnson. These numbers are priced way too efficiently. I don't like that. Ooh, Europe only priced at 54% probability. That And it looks like it's a lot more than a 50%. That looks like it's a lot more than a 50%. So let's go to J&J here. Let's try to see if we can get some bids in for J&J quarterly earnings. All right. No, that's not the one. And we're looking for what again? Europe. I'll buy 30 cents. Give me 20 shares, please. Right now. Europe seems like almost a no-brainer. A no-brainer at the moment. So I would love to buy Europe if I can. Please. Let me put... Where's the YouTube chat? YouTube chat back up to the north side. And let's do a little bit more research. What else is trading all crazy? China? China's trading a little bit spready. How did they say China? China. 18 times? 6 times? 5 times? 4 times? Once? I'm gonna bid 25 or I'll bid 15 and I want 50 shares. Is this where we make our money back? Administration. Hold up, chat. If we get these fills, right now obviously it's spready, no liquidity. But then you guys are gonna come in and front run me, aren't you? You little rats. Nothing here. Nothing here. Like 6 times in this call? Twice in this call? I think it has a chance. It has a chance. I'll give it a 10-cent chance. See if I can get a fill. And I'll only bid 10 shares here. Because I'm a little doubtful right now if it's possible for this one. Because it's about the current administration. And then will they work about administration? Kalshi has it at 90% for Europe. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. There's like a lot of gap over here. Someone's bidding 31 now, see? I'm just going to have to go ahead and say I'm going to bid 50 and 10 shares. Because I'm willing up to 50% for Europe. Up to 50% for Europe and up to 50... Nah. Fucking bastard. Someone's obviously front running us right now as we're watching the stream. Watch, he's also on 16, obviously. Now let's see if I'm not gonna say it. If it's automated, let's see. Um. All right, someone's using a program. Someone's botting this bitch. They're botting the crap out of it, and they are looking to get the best fill before you, clearly. So be careful. But I think there's some money to be made here if you can catch some fills. I think I'm gonna keep monitoring this all the way going into tomorrow. Some of these books are a little tight already, like Ottawa. Like these are tight, but I think once you if you can get a fill on China, admin, or Europe, there's some money to be made on J&J here, and similar with other mentioned markets. So I'm gonna have to do some research off stream, and hopefully I can get some lucky. There's only two tomorrow that I care about, so UAL and J&J. But if I find anything fancy, I'll let you guys know. And that's basically the end of the stream tonight, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Lots of trading ideas for tomorrow. Lots of stuff going on. So keep an eye out. Day trading is the time, baby. It is the time when the markets are volatile. Day trading is where I would urge you guys to go, and wait for swing trading a little bit. Swing longs especially. All right. Catch you guys tomorrow. Go make some money. Peace.